Hello Virgo friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video Virgo September 2020 Must Knows. The first thing that we must talk about is your birthdays. Happy birthday to my Virgo friends. It's a very special time when the sun in the sky gets back to the same degree that it was at when you were born. This opens a portal for wishing and manifestation for your desires, which is where birthday wishes come from. So definitely make your birthday wishes. If you want to see more about maximizing your special wishing portal, search for Annie Botticelli Making Wishes Come True, and you'll see my video that gives you more details about how you can use this. The sun in the sky in the astrology represents desire. All of the planets have energetic representations for our experience, and the sun has desire and intention. And so that's where birthday wishes come from. A lot of things are astrologically based, like birthday wishes, that people don't even give astrology credit for. So the weeks before your birthday, you may notice that you feel off. Okay, a lot of times before birthday time, when the sun lights up what's called the 12th house, the sun is like a giant spotlight moving through the chart. And wherever it gets to in the chart, it's just giving light and warmth and focus in that field of experience. And the field of experience that gets lit up before birthday time, and it should be noted too, my friends who are watching for Moon in Virgo or Rising Virgo, you also have a special time because the sun is kissing, is giving warmth to your Virgo placement, and that can be a feeling of new beginning as well, just like a birthday can. But before the sun gets back to your Virgo point, it goes through this attic of your experience. And we know what attics are like. They can be either, refinished and all nice and usable, or they can be completely disgusting and, you can't even look at it. And so the attic of your experience gets a spotlight in the weeks before your birthday. And what this is purposeful from the universe. The universe helps you to see and play around with the things that you don't want so that you know what you do want. And it helps you to go through things so that you can find the gifts. Just as you may find a family heirloom in an attic, or you may find something of value emotionally or financially in an attic, but you also may find like animal droppings and all kinds of gross stuff. That's what the sun does in those days before your birthday. You've got to go through this process. And some people tend to self-medicate. They call it starting their birthday celebrations early or something like that. And I invite you to make a different choice this time and really just use the playing around in that energy of your fears and anxiety and do something purposeful with it. And definitely check out EFT, the Emotional Freedom Technique. You can search for it online because it is scientifically proven to help ease anxiety. And we know that our Virgo friends tend to carry a lot of worry and anxiety. And this could be a life changer for you. And this could enhance your birthday wishing and your new beginnings. So the second thing we have to celebrate for Virgos is that as the planets move through Virgo and hit your Virgo placements, it does enhance things for you. And even more importantly right now is that the Sun and Mercury moving through Virgo are making kisses with the outer planets in Capricorn. Okay, so Saturn, Pluto, Pallas Athena's there, a star goddess, and actually Jupiter. Okay, so all of these planets are there lurking around in Capricorn, and they have been the source of a lot of the ruckus that we've had this year with the coronavirus. You can search for Annie Botticelli coronavirus to see more about that. But when these outer karmic titans have been clashing, it has been really busting up our systems because Capricorn is the energy of systems. But now, in this month, these Virgo planets are making the most beautiful harmonious aspect in all of astrology with your sign and these planets. So Virgo placements get extra energy and extra kisses because as these trines move across, they're also blessing and enhancing your placement and can bring these astrological potentials down to the more personal. So you might see some things gel in a big way for you. You might see some things you've been working on come through in a big way. You might see some very solid clarity about certain things that have been nebulous, and very strong material gains as a very possible experience. So I hope that those manifest wonderfully for you. Every Virgo is going to get kisses from these placements, but those of you towards the end of the sign, so like we'll say maybe around the 14th or 15th of September through the rest of the sign, or like 20-ish degrees or so. These are, you know, give or take a few days through the end of the sign, like 20 to 29 degrees. These are the placements that will get extra kisses. Okay, so if you're in that late degree or end of the sign bucket, then you will have extra kisses from this. Okay, so the second thing we have to know is that Mars is officially retrograde this month. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I very, very strongly focus on the energy of retrogrades. A retrograde is when a planet appears to be going backwards in its orbit. And remember, astrology is from a geocentric perspective. Geocentric means the Earth is in the center and everything else is around us. So we talk about the sun as moving and all of, you know, even though the sun doesn't actually move, from our perspective, it moves. From the geocentric perspective, it does move. And so as the planets go retrograde, it has very measurable effects on us, really bringing a lot of stuff up from the past, sometimes slowing down momentum, you know, getting people feeling stuck, and focusing more on the past and the present than the future. So we've been in a retrograde year. But at the end of July into August, we started to have kind of a wake up once Mercury and Venus were direct and all clear, and then Mars retrograde shadow period that starts before the actual retrograde, which starts September 9th. The shadow transit started at the end of July. So all August was like this building up of basically the slowdown of Mars. And Mars rules oomph and your drive and your ambitions and your goals and your momentum. So you may have had a brief moment there to kind of try to push some things through. And now the rule is, especially this month and October and November, it will start to wane a little bit in December, but don't force anything that is not naturally flowing. And if you find yourself getting aggravated or stressed out or frustrated, that is your cue that Mars retrograde is working against you because you are trying to force something. Force, Mars rules force. It's a god of war. So force, aggression, assertion, anything that you're trying to push, whether it's to get to a goal or an action against somebody, will tend to boomerang back at you. So it's a time to tread very lightly and, you know, move very slowly and cautiously. But if something is flowing, it might flow and gel in a big way from these other transits. You can let it happen and not be afraid of it. Just the things you try to do, okay? That's what we want to kind of voluntarily hem in a little bit. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about has to do with Jupiter going direct. And this is very important because Jupiter rules optimism and expansion and benevolence and luck. And so if you got the feeling that your optimism and your luck and forward movement in a lot of areas started really getting reined in May, that's because Jupiter joined the retrograde party at that time. So now in September, even though Mars is in retrograde, Jupiter is bigger, and Jupiter going direct can still bring some movement and momentum, regardless of the fact that Mars is in retrograde. And if it happens, you can just trust it and let it flow. And you might see a lot of areas in your life that stalled out in May start to really come alive this month. So that could be very exciting. And that could really be in any area of life, but especially the areas of like children, creative projects. If you're in the creative arts like theater, acting, modeling, fashion, anything where you're like center stage, singing, dancing, athletes, I think I said athleticism. Yeah, all of that stuff may have stalled out. Your creativity or inspiration may have stopped flowing. You'll likely find that inspiration or that flow starting to come back. So if things kind of were sleeping a little bit, this may wake them up. And also things having to do with children, like if you're trying to have a baby, you might get good news at that time, or things moving forward with getting things situated for something for a child you already have. And those of you that are towards the end of the sign, and again, we'll kind of list around we'll say around September 14th or 15th for the rest of the sign. Those of you at the end there, or the late degrees, you might also have energy in your home and family moving forward, because Jupiter is in that house for those of you towards the end of the sign. So things with real estate or anything having to do with home, family, inner work that you're doing about, or ancestry, finding a relative, genetic testing, things like that, you may notice that things start to move forward with that. And this could be an amazing time to sell or buy a house and do any of your design work. The only thing that you might have to watch out for with design work is that Mars retrograde can make people lazy. And already, if you've ever done refurbishing of houses or anything like that, you know that it is very difficult to get people who are skilled laborers to show up to do their work for whatever reason. And so this might make them more lazy. So you may get some delays with your design projects from that perspective, but at least it is a time where it's clear to try to be working on design projects, which it wasn't really great in the Venus retrograde time. So you might notice that those types of things start to pick up speed. This month is very special in the way that it's like a still point between, first of all, the eclipse cycles. Okay, we have 2 eclipse hotspots in the year. We had it in the summer or winter for those of you down under, and then we'll have them again like towards the end of the year, like October through the rest of the year. And those are eclipse hotspots, and we're in the still point right in the middle where we're not in an eclipse hotspot. Okay, so we have a little break from all of the drama and the changes, and we're still integrating the changes that happened from the very intense series of eclipses. And then this is a still point for another reason too. Jupiter and Saturn are waking up and going direct this month. Okay, so that is going to bring things forward in a bigger way, regardless of the fact that Mars is in retrograde. But a lot of the ruckuses, like we talked about, came from the clashes of Saturn and Jupiter and Pluto in these late degrees of Capricorn. So Jupiter and Saturn are waking up in September, but they're not yet conflicting with each other. That happens in October, November, December. So we'll probably see a lot of conclusions, not forever conclusions. Obviously, we have a new normal and an evolution, an evolving storyline with coronavirus and everything that's going on. But we will hear some final chapters and get some final booms with the story that had started earlier in 2020 with the coronavirus and the systems breaking down and all the travel blocks and all of these things. So October, November, December are going to be intense in that way. Some resolutions may come, some other booms may come, and that may be different for different people having different experiences. But in September, we're again in this like little bubble where that's not yet super active. It's kind of like a calm before a potential storm. Okay, so this month we do have double the challenging aspects compared to the sweet ones. We had this happen in August too. There are certain similarities between the energies of August and September that are carrying over. So even though there are double the challenging aspects compared to the sweet ones, it doesn't have to be terrible. It's just going to be a nuisance. You will feel it. But it is, the way that I'm framing this is the stars are inviting you to see things differently, okay? And when we see something a certain way, it can often bring us pain. We make a decision about something, we have a viewpoint about something, and because of that, we're having pain or difficulty. So changing the way we see things can really change how we experience things. And when we have these clashes in the stars, the purpose of them, everything is purposeful from the divine plan perspective. It's trying to show these undercurrents that were under the surface, these unconscious factors. It bubbles them out into the conscious to say, hey, this is here, it's got to be dealt with. So you can change things around and shift things based on what happens to make things better in the future. Okay, the next thing that we have to talk about is that we've got this end to the water festival, okay? So even though water energies flow well with earth energies from the elemental standpoint, heavy emotion and a lot of emotion, it can interfere with productivity, and earth signs really like to get stuff done, get everything taken care of. And so June, July, August, and right at the beginning of September, as we have this grand water finale with the Pisces full moon in the first couple of days of September, it's like ending this water festival. And we'll have, the Virgo energies, and we'll have air and fire energies that are featured rather than this very strong emotional current. So it started to wear off a little bit in August, and it will continue to wear off now as we get into September after that very emotional few days in September. There is a tough aspect with that full moon that could bump love, money. But again, this will be like a thing that's just for a few days. You know, it'll be a jostling and probably will pass quickly. But there are some really sweet and long-term types of aspects that are also happening with the full moon that make it increase the odds that this could be a really sweet full moon, even if there's a little nuisance thing. And it can wind up locking some things in for long-term for you and bring happy tears and happy emotion instead of just, you know, regular emotion. Now, it is important to note that water full moons like this one can tend to bring water where it shouldn't be. So like storms, flooding, broken pipes, things like that. So if you have anything you can do to head off a problem, or if you have a potential problem that's brewing, you might want to get it worked out before that, because this pressure can make a crack. Okay, so the next thing, let's see here. I just want to make sure. Okay, so the early degree placements, basically like the August born, you're going to see that full moon, and some of the ones that are like at the beginning of September. Okay, you all in that bucket, like the early and then part of the middle degree friends, you might see this fullness and manifestation come in the form of a relationship topic, okay? Because that's going to happen in your 7th house. Now, for the later, like we'll say after around September 4th or 5th for the rest of the sign, or like 15 degrees for the rest of the sign till 29 degrees, you all are going to see this full moon at the beginning of the month, and this emotion, for better or worse, in your health and pets and office dynamics and daily experience house. So something emotional involving something you do every day, people you see every day, something with an animal. And again, it could be a good thing. This could be a great time to find a perfect pet. This could be, as long as you make sure you match the what the pet needs to how you are, because you might get more lazy as Mars goes into retrograde, and if they need a lot of attention, you just don't have the rose-colored glasses on when it comes to the type of animal you get, okay? And that's going to be true for the whole rest of the year. But you could find your perfect animal pet, or a pet you have may need attention. Remember, like I said, there's a little bump that's not that's a challenging aspect, but there are some really good long-term positive aspects at this full moon. So those of you in that later degree time, you might see things occur. Maybe you get a raise, maybe something in your office dynamics shift, maybe a health thing comes to a head or it comes to a resolution. Okay, so you'll definitely want to know more about Mars retrograde, and I have created resources to assist you with this. You can search for Mars retrograde Annie Botticelli, or if you click in the notes underneath, if there's a more arrow underneath the video and you click underneath, it will reveal all these notes, and I have the links for the blog and the video there. You want to read up on this because there are definitely things to know. And still in the Mars retrograde time, my new book, Planetology, will be out, and I talk a lot about the retrogrades and how to work with the retrogrades in that book, and you can pre-order that now if you just search for Annie Botticelli Planetology. It's on Amazon. You can get it at any major bookseller. So that, okay, let's see what else. You can also have written horoscopes by me 1 month early that are much more simple, less detailed, but have good information and good books to read for Virgo placements, and I deliver those 1 month early at cozybysweetstarlight.com. Again, that link's underneath the notes. If you want to have a written account of all of the aspects that are going to happen, what the aspects are, what dates, and what you can expect from them, along with a write-up of the month. And this write-up for September is very long because there are a lot of subtle facets at play here. You can get that for free when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. You also get my 28-day virtual coaching program access for free when you sign up at anniehelpsyou.com. Let's see what else. My school, you can have free classes at Luminous Life Multiversity, LUME-life.com, Lume Life. You can see my free courses, and you can see my paid courses, including Become a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. So if you resonate with how I teach and you want to learn, then you can check that out there. If you love the charts that I usually add for the visuals, They'll be back soon. Just, I'm having a lot going on with all of this water energy clashing with my fire energy, and this has been needing a lot of my personal attention. So I'm not able to spend the extra time to add those in this month, but I do expect to have those back soon. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.